Hello everyone, I'm LJ and I thought I'd do something a little different, just something for fun. Obviously enough, the topic today is Lego Overwatch, or Legoverwatch, as TTV likes to call it. And I figured I'd just give some brief thoughts of mine, now that they're out and they're new and they're fresh, and before I really get into the thick of things over on the TTV Brickfeed podcast or the Eljay Johnsen show, I'd kind of just voice my opinions on these very quickly, because I don't really have too much to say right now on my own, but, do something fun, something different. So start small, go large, and firstly, it's Tracer versus Widowmaker. I mean, this looks like a pretty good set to me. Obviously enough, it's a payload on Watchpoint Gibraltar, and you have two minifigures, you have Tracer and you have Widowmaker, duh, and, just a small little construction. I think this looks really good. They've pretty much got the character minifigures spot on. The payload is fine. That's whatever. We're getting multiple payloads, so that's cool. Although, the one thing I'm not a big fan of, even if I understand why LEGO went about doing it this way, is I'm not a big fan of their weapons. I don't really like how they did Widowmaker's sniper rifle. I don't like how they did Tracer's weapons. I mean, I understand why. Otherwise they'd have to make new molds. This is a creative solution. It's just, they don't look too accurate, but given that everything else looks spectacular, I'm going to forgive them. I think this is, for a small set like this, pretty good entry, 129 parts. Perfectly fine. Two really accurate minifigures, so a very small grievance, but I'm content. I won't be getting it. I have no interest in getting anything that doesn't have, a specific character I'll get into in just a moment. But it looks really good. Moving on to Hanzo versus Genji. This is another really good set. I do like it. I think they've got Hanzo spot on. He looks really excellent, even if the bow he has is awfully generic. And Genji also looks good, although I don't like him as much. This might be one of my least favorite of the minifigures. Not only because his helmet is a bit large, even though I understand, you can only have it go so small. But I'm not the biggest fan of the torso color, even though it's incredibly accurate. I'm not a big fan of the sword being lime. Now, obviously enough, there's a silver sword in this as well, so you can swap them out. And I understand there are limitations. It's just this isn't one of my favorite renditions of the Overwatch characters thus far. I think Hanzo looks excellent. Genji has, a bit to be, there's more that I feel that could have been done differently with Genji, even if it's really accurate. Maybe it's just because I don't play Genji. Genji's never really been my play style, but I digress. This is a fine set. I really like that they were able to get that guy from the Dragons animation in there. Like, they really nailed the look of that character. So that looks fantastic. It's a smaller build as well, 197 pieces. Again, it's fine. Also, again, I'm not going to be getting it. I have no interest in this set specifically, so I don't think that this is one that I will pick up of my own accord. Next up is Dorado Showdown. This is another really good one. I actually think this is quite nice. They've really captured, even if it's a little bit the look of Dorado, this is one I will consider picking up, certainly. Because at the very least, the Soldier is a character that I do play on occasion. Back before we actually got the game, period, TTV, before the game came out, everyone thought, oh, LG's going to pick Soldier, because I have a history of playing Call of Duty. And that didn't happen. I looked through the characters and went, nope, not going to play Soldier. But I have played him occasionally, whenever is necessary. I think this is a good-looking set. I like the wall. I like the fact that you have a little bit of extension, and of course we have another payload, of which I am a fan of. You get 3 minifigures in this. You get Soldier 76, Reaper, and McCree. Reaper looks good to me. I think they did a good job with Reaper. McCree, I think, I don't know. I need to see a better photo of McCree with his hairpiece on. I don't like how he looks with the hat. And obviously enough, they're 2 separate pieces, and they're going to include both, which is great. It's just, I think a new mold would have looked better, even though I do understand there are limitations to that. Soldier 76's gun, though, I mean, I think it's quite large because it's brick built, so on the one hand, I don't really like that. On the other, I think it actually does look pretty accurate for what they were going for. But I digress. Reaper shotguns, they're serviceable. they're not really ideal to me, but, they will do. So I think this is another good set, although it's not high on my priority list. 419 pieces. I don't play McCree. I don't play Reaper. I occasionally, very rarely play Soldier. I must say though, as a final note, Soldier's hairpiece looks fantastic. Okay, next up is the set I will absolutely be getting day one bar nothing. This is D.Va and Reinhardt, not versus. 455 parts, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, getting this as soon as I can. Now, the reason for this is actually, as many of you may have guessed, if you know who I am personally, not even if you know who I am, but if you know me, then you know when it comes to Overwatch, I play Reinhardt nonstop. Almost all the time. If I'm playing Overwatch with anyone, it's usually as Reinhardt. That was my day one go-to. And I decided early on when playing the game, well, I'm either going to play a few characters decently, or I'm going to play one character really well. And I decided for the latter, and it ended up being Reinhardt. I think this looks absolutely fantastic. I love the headpiece. I love the new shoulder molds. I think they got the shaping really well. The hammer looks great. I think it all looks absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, there are going to be issues with it. Given it's only about a $20 looking figure, even though it's going to be a $40 set because of D.Va, there are some limitations here. He's got no knee articulation, which is generally a standard, and his hips are a bit wide. So that's a given. I've come to accept that is how it's going to be. And if I really want, I can just modify those things to the best of my ability. So that being said, I think this looks absolutely stellar, and I'm glad we also have the option of having a Reinhardt minifigure to boot, given that we do see him on the side and up top. He has a hairpiece, which I don't think is accurate, but the face print looks pretty good from far away, and I'm reasonably confident that you just take Reinhardt and you stuff him in the suit. D.Va also looks great. I think they did a wonderful job with the mech, and of course the minifigure looks fantastic. So all in all, I think this is easily my favorite of the sets. I'm going to get this as soon as I can. Next up is Watchpoint Gibraltar. This is a set that is 730 pieces large. It's a giant rocket with 4 minifigures, Pharah, Mercy, Winston, and Reaper. I think that the adaptions all are generally really good. I also think that there are things that, they come really close to being absolutely perfect, but they're just slight things that kind of go, you're close. You're really close. But them being really close, I think, is perfectly fine. Obviously enough, the things I'm talking about are Pharah and Mercy's wings, Mercy's staff, and Reaper's shotguns. And those are the things that kind of just throw me off. I think they did a really good job with Winston. Obviously enough, he's a big fig. He looks stellar. It's a completely new mold and what looks to be. He's got the jetpack contraption. You do have Reaper looking a little smoky, so he's got 2 sets of legs. And, I think that for all the new pieces they introduced, they all look really good. Obviously enough, for me, the minifigures are the main attraction. The actual build itself, I don't really care about. It doesn't interest me basically whatsoever. As such, I don't play any of these characters in the game, and that is actually the main reason I would get any of these. So I don't think that this is definitely not one I'm going to be picking up. I think it's a good looking set. I think for anyone that's interested in the actual build, they're really going to like it. Minifigure-wise, I think that they're good adaptions. I think that most of them come very close to being great adaptions. And that's just due to the nature of LEGO. And I think that's fine. But, it looks good. I'm not going to be getting it personally. But it looks good. And finally, what a lot of people are talking about and are really excited for is Bastion. It's 602 pieces. I'm gonna be honest, this is probably the one I'm least interested in, basically. Obviously, I don't play Bastion. That's not how I roll. But I also just don't really, based off that, I don't particularly care. We already have a LEGO Bastion. Verdict's out whether or not that's going to be represented in further LEGO Overwatch sets. But, to that end, this still looks like a phenomenal set. It's a great looking build. It's detailed, it's large, everything's properly scaled. It looks absolutely phenomenal. It looks like an excellent build. In addition to that, it transforms. It transforms from its normal sentry mode into turret mode, and I think that looks really fantastic. In addition, it also has a light brick in the head. So there's a lot of functionality here, and it's a really faithful adaptation. I think it's absolutely spectacular, and certainly an upgrade from the Bastion we saw released as a Blizzard exclusive. At the same time, I'm just not too interested in it, just simply because I don't play Bastion, you know? It looks like Bastion. They've done a great job with it. Just kind of not my cup of tea. But I do think that it honestly looks really fantastic. So overall, those have been my brief thoughts. I think these all look like really great sets. I'm super excited to see more if they decide to go that route. Obviously enough, Reinhardt is a day one purchase. I make no mistake, I am absolutely getting my hands on that as quickly as possible. I think they did an absolutely phenomenal job on Reinhardt specifically. And I'm super excited for it. So I have high hopes for this theme, and I will elaborate maybe more, hopefully on the Brickfeed podcast and on the Eljay Johnsen show. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day.